Welcome, everyone, to the Reinventing You podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Sulli, and this is the perfect space to come if you're looking to reinvent your life. If you're looking for tools, strategies, and techniques of people who have reinvented themselves around career, finance, health, wellness, relationships, you name it, this is the place where mentors, teachers, and leaders come to share their stories. Where after they felt stuck and lost and confused and unfulfilled in life, they took action and they created the change they wanted and reinvented themselves. And I'm so excited today to welcome our guest who's going to share her Reinventing You story. Our guest is best known for her signature statement: "We're not dressing James Bond's girlfriend, we're dressing the female version of James Bond." Diana Nguyen is the CEO and founder of the lifestyle brand Madison Savile, where her focus is to inspire women by armoring them from the outside and building them up from the inside. It was 3 years ago she took the plunge, leaving her 15-year career in corporate finance to begin reinventing the woman's blazer. Stemming from her own struggles to find a quality, fashionable, and well-fitted blazer, to understanding that other wives, sisters, daughters, mothers, and career women in the world were struggling with the limited option of a timeless jacket to feel strong, beautiful, and comfortable in, as she worked hard in her position of leadership. For Diana, her focus is not only to provide a well-crafted blazer for women, but one that inspires them to recognize their value and true beauty from within. Every blazer is embroidered with a word of affirmation to remind the powerful woman wearing it that her purpose and mission matters. Diana, welcome to the Reinventing You podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and what a beautiful intro.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I was so excited to learn about you and to, I'm just sharing what I know and, what's been out there. You've got an amazing brand, an amazing mission. And I think it's so unique. There's not too many Reinventing You stories I've had on here where, you're leaving this kind of degree of cush lifestyle of being in this career position for so long and pursuing your passion of such a unique direction. Yeah. So tell me, let's dive into, what stemmed all this and what was your journey in getting started?
Oh my goodness. So I started actually off in accounting and marketing. Well, mostly accounting. I majored in accounting in college, and I did it for 15 years. So I worked for Deloitte, and then, all these different industries and companies. And then my last company was Microsoft. But all along the way, I was good at what I was doing because of experience and what I went to school for. But there was always this kind of this feeling, I guess you can call it, or this calling that got louder and louder about, there's a higher purpose of what I needed to do during my life here on this earth. Mm-hmm. I just never knew what that was. And I mean, to be honest, it's a journey. Everybody's journey is different. And so mine, it took to the point where I spent 15 years being a finance auditor consultant. And during my time at Microsoft, I was going down that route of, that voice inside me was getting louder. I knew what I liked. I knew what I didn't like. I did not know what that meant. And so I actually ended up hiring two career coaches, two very different styles and methods. And they both came to the same conclusion, which was to be an entrepreneur. That's pulling all the data. One was very data driven method, and the other one's more spiritual. And so, and then two different methods coming together going, you would fit as an entrepreneur because of my strengths, my weaknesses, what I liked, my personality. And so at that point, I'm like, great, I'm getting clear on what that is, except I'm like, well, entrepreneur and what?
All right.
Like, okay, answer number one. Okay. So the next one. And that's why it took a while to to get to Madison Savile. Being in the corporate world, being in the network, and being surrounded by women in the corporate world, also wanting and looking for blazer like myself, I love blazers. So I'm wearing one of my own right now, but during that time, I always was looking for a blazer that fit right, that was designed the right way. I'm very particular in terms of what blazer I wear, what blazer I purchase. And so it's all around the fit and it's all around design. And so paying attention along the way, I came across more and more women going, yeah, I really love blazers. I just can't find the one I like, whether that's fit or design or both, right? And so I'm like, well, there's a gap in the market, but it wasn't enough for me to make that jump from a comfy lifestyle and this position and the career that I built up for over 15 years. And so until there was a purpose behind it for me, and for me, while I was in the corporate world, I always volunteered in the community, led groups, helped with nonprofits, be on the board with a lot of nonprofits, because that is where, for me, is my passion is serving others and helping others around me. And so my purpose is tied to helping others and inspiring others and empowering others. And so with Madison Savile, okay, great, there's a problem. The problem is women's blazers and suits do not fit well, and it's not designed, in a way that is more modern and that reflects who we are today. And so I'm like, well, and this is an evolution with Madison Savile. It's not, and I just wanted to, let everybody know that it's not right away, you find what your purpose and your idea and your passion is. It's an evolution, and you have to be patient with that. And Madison Savile started off as Suited. And Suited, actually, when I was in the trademarking process, I found out that it was already taken. So it was actually very, very devastated. I'm like, but I've come to learn in this journey that, things happen for a reason. So if it's not this, then if this door is closed, it's leading you down your right or correct path that you're supposed to go down, even though you don't see it then. But now, reflecting back, Madison Savile, the name came about because Suited was taken. And I was like, but I love Suited, and I have so many phrases and things that I can say and taglines with Suited. And then I really thought to myself, well, I need a name that really reflects what I want this company to be. And that is to inspire and empower women. And I want to turn it not just a fashion brand for blazers and suits, but it is a fashion brand that's doing more than that. And that's either through our podcast or through the nonprofits that we help, or the collaborations and partnerships that we do with other companies in the same ethos that's giving back to the community. Whatever that is, it's always with the mind or the thought of serving others and giving back to the community. So with that, I came up with Madison Savile. And Savile means Savile Row in London, known for their bespoke tailoring of men's suits. And so I want the same for women. That's where the whole James Bond theme came about, is because I love James Bond movies. And I love how a man looks in a fitted suit, but it has to be fitted right. There's the difference. You can see the difference.
Totally. I totally agree. It's funny, you're saying this, and I think, I used to be in corporate sales in corporate America before I had kids. And it's so there's so many layers. I know it sounds like, for anyone who's maybe not familiar with, dressing in suits or specific attire, to be in that position, but there's a degree of confidence. Like, I know that I struggled with suits altogether. I struggled with having just a blazer to go with my black pants, so I could change out the look. And I have two to this day. They're still in my closet, of the only two. And I would never wear them to show out of fashion, but I refuse to let them go, because they were the only two that made me feel confident.
Yes.
And I felt like I could change them out, but because it's so true, there's a degree of confidence when you're going in to interact with, to connect with, to be a leader as a woman. You want to feel good. And when you don't have that, your attire, and my boss used to tell us, go out and buy a new suit, go buy a new outfit, and feel good when you show up. And you're providing that resource that, it's just such a new, unique way to serve. And I love it. And I love just the whole transformation. Like, it wasn't like, I'm like, yeah, I knew I wanted to make suits. Like, I totally thought that was going to be your story. Not at all. Like, you didn't even know what, you just knew that whatever, you had these whispers, you had this calling, you had this knowingness. And that's what I love. You spoke to, part of that reinventing process is listening to those nudges and that calling. You are secure and safe in this position. And it's scary at the idea of whatever those whispers are trying to tell you, but you took the leap, you explored, you gained resources that helped guide you, and you continue to go through the ebb and flow of that process. And you're making it, I love how you're showing us that it's a multi-level process. Like, you are making women's blazers so they can feel more confident and comfortable. You have your words of affirmations inside these blazers to really help boost and just remind us of how powerful we are. But like, you have your podcast of powerful messages and other leaders. You have your partnerships that you're developing and a way to serve on a bigger scale. So it's not just about a blazer. And you're showing us how you can take this reinventing process of what was just a whisper and create a whole world of service. And I love that. Like, what a powerful, just a powerful transformation. Can you tell me, we all can go through like these roadblocks and these struggles. And so once you identified, like, I want to do this blazer, then what? Did you hit some roadblocks? I mean, to design, to get fabric, to get quality, to get the idea, like that creates so much anxiety in me. So please, like, share. Like, I don't even know how that would work.
Oh gosh, I'm like, where do I start? Because yes, you're right. There are a lot of roadblocks, a lot of challenges, and I wanted to kind of circle back and finish the Madison Savile part. So Savile, for Savile Row, and then Madison, I had a list of names of what I wanted the company to be, but Madison, I chose Madison in the end because it means gift of God and warrior. And so that aligns very much with what the company is about, is to remind each person that they are a warrior and they are a gift of God, and each person's gift is unique to this world. And it is, my purpose, I feel, to help those see that and bring it out. And so that kind of ties back to finishing up why, Madison Savile is the name Madison Savile. To your question about the challenges, oh my goodness, going from finance to fashion, okay, is already a big, big jump, because how finance and technology works is very different than how the fashion industry works. And you don't know. Well, you don't know until you're actually in it. So you can prepare. And then it's like, it is going to school, and then you're being taught all these things. And you're like, okay, I think I got it. And then you're thrown into the work world. You're like, I don't got it. I do not know. I mean, that's real world work experience. And the same thing with being an entrepreneur in any industry, whatever you're doing. It is. And that's why I say be patient with yourself, because this is an MBA course in being an entrepreneur and a startup, where you're learning constantly. You're learning and you're executing at the same time. And so for me, a lot of the challenges and roadblocks was thinking, I decided to leave Microsoft when I got to a point where I'm like, okay, Madison Savile can now become a full-time job, because it got to that point where there's a lot of stuff that needed to be done. And so I was very blessed with a manager and a team that I can be open and transparent with along the way, and saying, hey, I'm not going to be here long-term forever. While I'm here, I'll give you 110%. But my long-term goal is to eventually quit and go full-time in pursuing my dreams and passion. So they were supportive all along the way, and they're still supportive of me to this day. So super grateful for that. That's the other thing I would say, is surround yourself with people that believe in you, that support you, because there are going to be days when you're on the ground crying. It's not pretty every step of the way. That's the real world. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and make it pretty, because it's not, that's the ups and downs of anything in life. And being an entrepreneur, definitely, you know, I don't know if you've seen that meme where it's a entrepreneur roller coaster where it's like, everything's great. Why did I do this? What the hell?
I haven't, but I'm gonna look now.
Yeah, I'll send it to you because I'm like, yeah, that's, you can go through all of those emotions in an hour, in a day, every day.
Okay.
So going from finance to fashion, it was definitely challenging because I thought once I quit, I'm going to get 40 hours back, you know, to spend full time on Madison Savile. And, you know, I thought, okay, once I get the 40 hours back, I can launch in 6 months. That was 3 years ago. So you can imagine the challenges and the things I went through where I quit and then I started learning about a lot of friends and people in the industry say, like, you could have gone into something simpler, but you chose the fashion industry and you chose the hardest thing to do, which is a woman's blazer. So I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't mean that you can't learn and you can't, and also surround yourself with the people and the experts to help you get there. So it was a learning process all along the way. I, you know, took fashion accelerator classes. I took fashion classes just to get knowledge. But then I also had people on my team that I trusted in terms of their expert advice, and then learning about how fit works and going through so many iterations that I thought it was going to be one and done. I was so wrong. It's like once you source the fabric, and sourcing fabric is a whole nother story where sourcing, there's fabric mills all over the world. And there's different trade shows for Europe, for Asia. And anytime you go to these trade shows, it's like 10 football fields of fabric where if you're new, you're like, where do I start? And so it's a lot of researching. It's a lot of testing out. I look back and I'm like, well, I could have saved a lot of money if I knew this since the beginning. But if you think about it, it's an investment in your MBA class. That's exactly what you're doing. You're learning along the way. And now, you know, you get to a point where the most important thing is reflecting back and learning on the mistakes you've gone through, the challenges you've gone through, like, how could I have done that better? How could I have prevented that? But along the way, having the right people on your team, and listening also to your gut, because that's also another thing that was a learning lesson for me, is we have very good intuition. Our gut tells us, our gut is right most of the time, 100% of the time, I have to say, and I'm learning to listen to it more and more. And when I don't, I look back and I'm like, well, if I only listened to my gut, then it would have prevented me from spending X amount of dollars or wasting this amount of time on this. So it's learning to listen to your gut along the way too, whether it's decisions with which supplier to go to, business partner, investors, especially in the entrepreneur startup world, when you start going around to do fundraising, and meeting different investors and people in your network. And so it's very, very important to kind of to listen to that and your intuition and your gut along the way. So
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you brought up so many great points. And, you know, just starting with, you said, you know, you can think you're prepared, but until you're actually in the field and you're a student and you're developing your craft, that's where you're going to learn. That's where you're going to develop your self-trust and your confidence along the way. That's where you're going to get more clarity about how you're serving and the impact you're really striving to make. You know, I love that you spoke to surround yourself with people that will support you and a good team, and reflect back and learn when you make the mistakes, and don't perceive it necessarily as a failure as much as, okay, this is part of my learning curve. This is part of my MBA. I've invested here. And I have a custom product business as my second business, which I've had for 7 years. And, you know, importing product and choosing your manufacturer and the components that go along with that. I mean, there's a lot of risk. We did a blind shipment, got it to our garage the first thing, had no idea what the product was, and we spent thousands of dollars. Thankfully, it worked out, and we've improved our product along the, you know, over the years and changed manufacturers. But I saw it when you're speaking to it. I'm like, heck yeah, like we've wasted so much money. There's just risk in different partnerships and things like that. But it's so beautiful, like who I am today and who you are today and who you're evolving into. Like that's priceless. Like that's becoming a powerful woman.
Yes.
I love it. So share with me about, the blazers and just more about, so I know that you've gone through this evolutionary process. So now you're serving and these women are having the opportunity to use the blazers and wear them, and you're making an impact that way. But can you dive more into, I guess where I'm trying to go with this is the outcome that you're noticing? Like, what are women saying? How are they feeling? What is, how are you seeing the fruits of your labor, and how are you making shifts on where maybe it's not coming to fruition the way maybe you thought?
So I think, so we're launching. So March is our launch, and I have sent out at least my samples to the women in my network to try on and give me feedback. And I say, real friends will tell you real feedback. Because for me, I said I am always open for raw and real feedback, because I want to improve and I want to make it better for my customers out there. And so I'm always looking for real and raw, honest feedback. If you just were to tell me, oh, it's great, it's fabulous, I love it, it doesn't help me unless that's true. So if you come back and tell me, well, it's a little bit too tight here in the shoulders, or I was having problems with this, that's feedback that I can take and improve for when we launch, for example. So and then I also have a Facebook insider group for Madison Savile. So this Madison Savile insider group, and I created it to create the community where building this company together with those that want to be involved. And that's a lot of behind the scenes. And I will ask questions about, what other words of affirmation would you want in your blazers next, right? So this first launch is unstoppable and fierce, and those are the words of affirmation inside the blazers. So eventually that's going to change, and I will ask the insider group, what would that be, or what do you think of this fabric or color? So they get to see real time behind the scenes of decisions that are being made for the company. So that's really building this company together with the community and getting that honest feedback from people. And so with the blazers, going back to your question, the feedback I'm getting is exactly what I wanted to hear. And that's the goal, is that these blazers and suits feel like pajamas. And I'm like,
so great. Who doesn't want to feel like they're wearing pajamas when they're at work, but feel beautiful at the same time? That's awesome.
Exactly. I'm like, yes, because it's all about fit, right? One of my biggest pet peeve is not being able to lift my arms or, hug myself or do anything. Many women wear many hats. And so you don't have time to be wearing something that constricts you or restricts you from doing a lot of things that you have to do throughout the day. And so I'm always on the go, and I need something that looks good, but also functional. And so my biggest thing is I want this to be comfortable where you don't even notice, and you can continue along your day as this, badass career woman, as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister. That's why we want to cater to the real women out there that have to do 5 million things a day, but they have something that looks good and then they can function in and feel comfortable in. So that's number one. I love getting the feedback where I think one of the ladies I gave the blazer to test out, she said she had a blazer on, her own blazer, and then she realized that she had my sample with her at that time. And so she's like, I should wear that instead. And so she switched out her blazer to wearing the Madison Savile blazer, and she said it felt like butter. buttery softness of your lining and how it felt was amazing. And every feedback I get, I'm like, yeah, but what else in terms of feedback, in terms of improvement? Did you have any problems with it? I want to know those things. And so, I mean, knock on wood, so far, so good. And then the words of, the other comments is the pockets. I don't
I
like.
remember reading that. I was like, oh, how great. I could put my phone and my chapstick because I have an obsession with chapstick and you have a thing. I was like, oh, sweet. Yay, how cool.
I don't know about you, but I don't actually like carrying my purse around, to be honest. I just want to go. And so my phone actually has like the credit card thing here. So then I just take my phone with me. And then if it's anything else, my keys and whatnot, I just go. And so with a lot of the blazers I've noticed, they're either faux pockets, they're not real, or you only have one or two or none at all. And so with our blazers, there are 5 pockets altogether on each blazer. So that helps with you just being on the go. So that's nice. And then of course our words of affirmation, every time you open the blazer, it reminds you of how you are unstoppable and fierce.
That's awesome. I can see how valuable this opportunity is and this product is for women right now, because these corporate women are working, and not even corporate, just, entrepreneurs and women of all walks of life. They're trying to multitask. I mean, I know right now, tomorrow my kids will be here. I will be running between doing school, doing my business, running my second business. And I totally change all the time. Like, okay, I have a podcast. Okay, I want to look nicer. And then like, as soon as I'm off, I'm like, okay, let me go put on pajamas. So like the idea of having something that I don't have to transition out of, and I get to keep my chapstick on me, and I can grab my phone and slide it in and then just keep going throughout my day in my home, because that's where we're at right now. Like that's huge value in itself. And then if I need to hop in the car, I look amazing and I go to the store.
Exactly. And I also want to break, I'm glad you brought up all those points, because I also want to break people's immediate thinking when they think of blazers and suits. They think suits. That's why it was suits in the beginning. And then I pivoted and I said, it's not always suits, it's the blazer. And it's focusing and honing in on perfecting the blazer. And that's what we did, because our blazers are different styles and blazers can be very versatile. So I want to break that thinking where, you have to wear a suit or blazer at work. But if you actually really think, it just depends on the fit of the blazer and how it's designed. You can throw a blazer over a t-shirt and yoga pants. To be honest, I think the new look right now is blazers and sweatpants, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, just to be honest. My husband actually took a picture of me before this this meeting, and he's like, this is true behind the scenes. I'm like, it is. That's what it is. Yeah. And you can, if you take your kids to softball, and then you have to jump onto another Zoom call, you literally can just throw it over your workout clothes and go, and just, you can dress up any look at any point in time. And that's what I love. And that's why I want to take people away, because I get a lot of the, not a lot of people are wearing suits anymore. Like, yes, not necessarily suits, but people still wear blazers. And it really, because people associate blazers with being formal, and blazers are not always formal. It just depends on how you wear it and depends on what you buy and the style you buy. But it is the most versatile thing that I own. Is you can wear it with a dress, you can wear it over sweats, you can wear it with a t-shirt and yoga pants, you can do whatever you want with it. You could just dress up any outfit at any point in time. So yeah,
I can see that. I know for me in the dating world, I want to, depending on what the date is, but I would love just to have something so versatile like that. Like I can dress up like a cute pair of jeans, or I could, if we're going somewhere where I need a pair of slacks, or, I love working out. 99% of my clothes are yoga pants. So I totally get that too. So I totally see that. And you know what I was thinking? I'm like, well, thank goodness it's not suited, because that would then imply it's all about suits. Yes. And you've now shared that it's a versatile brand and product. It's not about being dressed up in a suit. It's about living, you know, your powerful self and then the God relation. And, but it's the quality of is it Savile or how do you say it? Savile. I keep pronouncing it wrong. I'm sorry. Madison's Savile side is quality. It's high end. So you're not getting a cheap product. And that's so nice too, because I know that I have bought things that, you know, I think that then they're uncomfortable, then they shred and then, yeah, I can see how much value that you're bringing to the table. I cannot thank you enough for just, you know, sharing your journey and the insight and the amazing product that you're bringing to the market and the impact that you're making and going to continue to make, and helping women not only feel beautiful and powerful, but feel comfortable, and to be able to give them that product that allows them to feel versatile on a daily basis, especially in this market where, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm in my PJs all the time. I want to feel beautiful because I'm enclosed off, but to have a product that some days when I just want my sweats on, I can keep my sweats on, but I can still feel really beautiful as well.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. I want to close and find out, you know, where can people find you and your product and your message and your community?
So there's a few places. So the website, madisonsavile.com. And then we have our Facebook, Madison Savile Insider Group. And then we also have a Facebook group and Instagram. So our Instagram handle is Madison Savile. We're also on LinkedIn. You can find myself on LinkedIn as well. And so we are launching March. And so right now you can sign up for our newsletter on the landing page. But once March comes around, that's when you can start ordering product.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Diana. I do want to close with one final question. And that is, what is your biggest lesson, like one nugget that you've learned from really learning to listen to those whispers and take that and run with becoming the entrepreneur that you are today? What is, you know, the number one lesson and value that you've gained?
Definitely trust in the process, trust in the timing, and then trust in yourself. Those are very important things to remember, because sometimes we're just not ready to launch, or we're not ready to get there yet. And that's a process, right? And that's where being patient with yourself, because you're learning. There's big shoes to fill. So you're learning and you're growing into those shoes. And so the timing comes into that, where if the timing is not right, accept that. And know that there's better timing, or there's a time and purpose in the future. And when you reflect back, you can understand, like the whole where you mentioned suited, for example. You're like, well, if you went with suited, then it would be a totally different thing. And you look back and you're like, that's right. That's why it happened the way it did. But at that moment in time, it didn't seem like it to me. I was so devastated. But then you have to sit with it and go, there's a reason for this. I will see it later. And you have to take that time to reflect. So and I always say, this is where knowing your purpose comes in, is that it's hard along the way. It's a journey, and there's challenges and speed bumps and hurdles that you have to jump through. It's okay to feel all the feelings. It's healthy to sit there and feel what you're going through. And it's okay to take that time to go through that. But your will pick you up, and your why will pull you forward. So be on the ground as long as you need to recover and recoup, but your will get you back up, and then your why will keep moving you forward. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate you. And I'm so excited for all that's to come for you, your brand, and the impact that you're making for women and so many in the world.